This program on investing under Regulation Crowdfunding is not investment advice. The presenters aren't financial advisors, so attendees should conduct their own research and consult professionals. Investing carries risks without guaranteed returns. Your investment decisions are your own. Seek qualified advice for personal financial queries.
Rising with the crowd, power unbound, change makers lead where hope is found. Superpowers for good, shaping the fate. Investors and dreamers open the gate. Supercross stands loud, proud and true, building tomorrow for me and you.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to introduce you to this extraordinary group of people we have today who are going to be pitching at the Superpowers for Good television live pitch, where you get to be the shark. Our four companies today are Farm to Flame Energy, Krishi, Janani, Nap Bar, and Sensate, and they are all high-impact companies with great profit potential. So you don't want to miss this episode, this special episode of the Superpowers for Good show. So please stick around. I want to take a minute as we get started tonight to introduce the team here. First, I'll start by introducing our producer, Chandan Saha. Chandan has been with me working for over a decade now. He's an extraordinary human being, and he is the producer of the show. He brings 12 years of expertise in digital media. He's as creative as he is hardworking, and his leadership is vital to our company's success. Known for his innovative event solutions and high quality results, he excels in enhancing engagement and driving our growth. Our next speaker, I want to introduce the judges who will be presenting with us today. They really are people I love and admire. And these include Tawana Rivers, who is a seasoned entrepreneur and investor with 30 years in HR. As CEO of the 10K Project, she supports Black founders. She also leads Blockchain Investor Group International and OEO Holdings, focusing on wealth building for underrepresented communities. Brian Belay let me talk about Marcia Nelson first. Marcia is a managing director at Freedom Capital Markets, overseeing the family office division. With 20 years of experience, she has a robust network of private families and institutional investors. Marcia chairs Connect Capital's board and serves on multiple advisory boards focusing on impact investing and venture capital. And Brian Belay is the vice president of product at King's Crowd and is an active angel investor who's made hundreds of investments under Regulation Crowdfunding. He's a former founder of Crowdwise with dual MS degrees in aerospace and mechanical engineering from USC. He serves on the boards of the Crowdfunding Professional Association and Ingenuity NE, supporting STEM innovation. And we're just thrilled to have him here as part of our judging panel. We're excited to have you here as an audience as well, and thank you for taking the time to be with us. Now, as we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get started with our first pitch. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. This is going to be great.
Ever wonder if you can raise money with a community round on WeFunder? It may not be as tricky as you think. You can start right now. Start in under 2 minutes. Visit wefunder.s4g.biz or scan the QR code to begin. Give it a try. You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can be a green at Raise Green. Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back. We are so excited to kick things off tonight with Farm to Flame Energy and the CEO, Kwaku Jyamfi. He goes by KJ. He's the CEO of Farm to Flame Energy, bringing expertise in renewable engineering and entrepreneurship with a track record, a proven track record in project management and fundraising. Kwaku has raised over $2.5 million in capital. He holds degrees in chemical and environmental engineering from Syracuse University and Carnegie Mellon University. With that, I will turn the time over to Kwaku.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you. And as we pull up these slides, I'll just get ready to start and then coordinate with you to move through them. Great to be here tonight. Great to see you all the supporters of Farm to Flame and supporters of every company. Appreciate it. Yep, just let me know when to go and we're good to go.
Go ahead.
All right. Hello, my name is KJ. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Farm to Flame Energy, and we provide smokeless, odorless, renewable power at half the cost of diesel. Next slide, please. So we could go to this one. Yes, we're tackling the $4.4 trillion global power market, and we're specifically disrupting the $23 billion diesel generator market. Our serviceable obtainable market goal is $3.4 billion in annual recurring revenue by 2032, with 4 million kilowatts or 150,000 farm-to-flame generators installed. Next slide. In most of the US, getting electricity is as easy as turning on a switch. But 700 million people around the world do not have access to affordable and reliable clean electricity. This population relies on expensive and dirty diesel generators for constant power. It costs 3 to 4 times the regular electricity price on the grid to operate diesel generators. Toxic diesel exhaust kills over 21,000 people per year. And if for some reason they can't get their hands on the diesel fuel, well, they have no power. Next slide. We've built the Farm to Flame generator, a carbon neutral electricity asset that is just as reliable as diesel, but half the cost, with no smoke and no odor. Next slide. We use feedstocks like corn stalks, wood waste, miscanthus, and paper waste for carbon neutral electricity generation. Next slide. One of our 30 kilowatt generators can power 3 homes, a commercial building, or a medium-sized farm. Next slide. Our patented smokeless and odorless combustion process has allowed us to achieve a blue flame, equating to high combustion purity, less maintenance than traditional wood chip generators, and increased revenue. This is a real picture of the blue flame we achieved, and here's a picture of the FTF 30 kilowatt generator that we built in 2021 with funding from the US Environmental Protection Agency. Next slide. And we're cheaper than existing options. We're cheaper than diesel by half. We're cheaper than solar plus storage by 2/3, as a battery paired with the panels prohibits cost-effective baseload power. And we're cheaper than anaerobic digestion by half. Farm-to-flame generators operate at 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Next slide. With no methane, no conflict minerals, and no toxic emissions in our carbon-neutral supply chain. Next slide. And we have a unique fuel processing procedure that allows a smokeless, odorless flame to persist during electricity generation. We fine grind sawdust-sized material to achieve smokeless combustion. Next slide. We also utilize LiDAR machine learning to assess fuel quality by removing non-viable components from the feedstock, leading to increased fuel stream purity, generator uptime, and revenue. Next slide. We make money with energy as a service agreements, also known as power purchase agreements. This agreement costs the customer 14 cents per kilowatt hour, structured just like an electricity bill that you receive at the end of the month. They don't pay for the upfront cost of the equipment, but they experience savings on diesel over a 10-year contract. This affords us a 2.6-year payback period on the equipment. And the average 10-year contract revenue equals $250,000 at 40% profit margins. Next slide. We have $5.28 million in the pipeline for 2024 to 2026. We are signed into a $20.4 million engineering, procurement, and construction agreement, plus a 3-year operation and maintenance contract with Cocoa Processing Company, a large chocolate producer for Golden Tree, in which we're converting their cocoa husks into combined heat and power. And we are signed into a service agreement with Georgia Pacific, the largest wood waste electricity producer in the U.S., in which we are providing a $1.7 million annual recurring revenue replacement of their natural gas paper dryers with farm-to-flame dryers. Next slide. We have a world-class team of co-founders and executives who have built the farm-to-flame generator and have been funded by world-class organizations including Cisco, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Bank of New York Mellon, and Georgia Pacific for over $2 million in non-dilutive funding. And we have a great team of advisors who have successfully raised and exited over $400 million in their previous companies, selling to BMW, General Electric, IPO, and recently Michelin. Next slide. Your investment enables the installment of 1 megawatt of farm-to-flame generators on the east coast of the U.S. in our seed stage, creating an additional $1.1 million in annual recurring revenue to the $24 million in existing projects we have. And we will create an additional $2.5 million in power purchase agreement project financing. Join us as we scale to 4 gigawatts with over $3.4 billion per year in revenue and $12 billion in carbon neutral electricity assets as we expand energy security globally. Thank you so much. My name is KJ, CEO and co-founder of Farm to Flame Energy. That is it.
Great work, KJ. We really appreciate you kicking us off tonight. What a great presentation. I want to explain just a little bit about how this process will work tonight. With each presenter, we will have the opportunity to hear our expert investor panel ask some questions, Shark Tank style, of our pitching entrepreneurs. But all of you watching from wherever you are invited to ask questions too. If you're watching on social media, you can enter a question there on LinkedIn or on YouTube or Facebook, or you can grab this link here with your phone, scan the QR code, or enter the URL s4g.biz/question to submit a question to our entrepreneurs tonight. And those we don't get a chance to answer, if you submit the question online using this form, we'll collect your email and make sure that the entrepreneurs get a chance to circle back and answer your questions as a follow-up. So please join us. Now, we're going to turn the time over to our panel of experts now to ask some questions of this great entrepreneur. So we're excited. Who wants to kick off the questions?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Okay, Tawana, you look ready to go. Go ahead, get us started, Tawana.
First of all, KJ, well done, sir. Very informative. Great work that you're doing. How does Farm to Flame measure and track its environmental impact and sustainability metrics?
Thank you, Tawana. Thank you. Great question. So a strong unit of measurement is kilograms of carbon dioxide or tons of carbon dioxide that we abate from diesel or natural gas. Biomass fuels like wood waste and corn stalks are considered carbon neutral by the Energy Information Agency. So the carbon that we release into the atmosphere into combustion is the same amount of carbon that was taken by the plant to grow it in photosynthesis, basically, as opposed to fossil fuels like releasing millions of years of a concentration of CO2 at once. So it offsets the carbon cycle. So our goal for these next 2 years is to install enough farm-to-flame generators to abate 396,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year from diesel and natural gas. And that metric is based off the unit 1 kilogram of CO2 per kilowatt hour of electricity produced is abated or avoided being emitted from diesel and natural gas.
Very good. Thank you so much for that.
Indeed.
Hey, KJ, I'll jump in. Again, kudos. It sounds like you and the team have been doing some great work, have some great traction. On the customer side, I'm a little bit curious. So congrats on getting some of these contracts that you have signed in place. What have you found in your discussions with the customers have been the compelling selling points for them? Is it, the renewable energy aspect? Is it the price? Can you talk a little bit just about what's drawing the customers to you as a solution?
Thank you, Brian. That's a good question. And actually, even a VP of engineering candidate reached out to me about this today. So for the corporations that we work with, like Georgia Pacific and Cocoa Processing Company, they both have something in common, and that is that they have waste as a liability. So they have operations. Georgia Pacific is a paper making company, so they have a lot of paper pulp sludge. At one plant that we were doing this pilot for in Halsey, Oregon, they produce 100 tons per day of paper pulp sludge. And it can cost any of these plants upwards of $100,000 per month just to dispose of that waste. So that waste management fee that's a liability can actually be turned into an energy asset where now it's saving them money on their regular heat and power bill to use this waste, and then they completely eliminate that $100,000 a month cost, $1.2 million per year per plant, in order, to use it for a benefit. So they really like that aspect. And then what comes with that these days, especially with new governance being passed, like through the EPA, the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, the Inflation Reduction Act, these are all policies within the US that are really providing incentives and funding towards climate change driven solutions. Carbon credits, basically for avoiding this waste or using this waste for a carbon neutral aspect, you can get up to $180 per ton of per ton of CO2 avoided. So that's a great carbon credit when we're looking at, you know, 396,000 tons a year. You do the math, and that's a good amount of revenue. And so, just in that in itself, you have eight, sometimes even nine-figure revenue streams from carbon credits. And that's the other aspect as well. So you have the waste management aspect, converting a liability to an asset. You have the energy savings, which is the main aspect, and then now, with especially with corporations, you have carbon credits.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
KJ, great job. I just think that you've really done a lot with some non-dilutive funding. You've got some great partners here. I really think that in terms of the sustainable development goals, you touch a lot of the 17 SDGs. My question for you is: so you're raising seed capital here. This is going to get you through the next 2 years. What's next? What's next in terms of financing? What's your exit strategy, like long term, or you don't want to keep building the company yourself? Or are you thinking that this is selling to a strategic or something else in the future? Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Thank you, Marcia. And what I would say to that is that we have a goal of 4 gigawatts by 2032. So 4 gigawatts is basically enough power to power a half of New York City at peak. We're pretty much power New York City on a regular off-peak time. And that's a lot. That's a lot of power, actually. New York City is a city that never sleeps. That's actually even enough power to power all of Nigeria. So just for reference, that's kind of the scale of what we want to do. And these will be distributed generators, so they will be a solution that can help the grid, can put power back onto the grid, but they can also operate independent of the grid. So we know that there's certain strategics who may be interested in this solution, especially those that deal with waste management and those that have these large waste streams. Some of it we're even working with right now. We would like to have the public be able to continue investing in this. We would like to IPO, and so that would be a trajectory that we would like to take and have an exit strategy that way for early investors. And so that's our main strategy. But we would not be opposed to a strategic buyout if it favored everybody.
Thank you. And I live in New York City, so I love that there's an opportunity to power my city in a safer, more environmentally friendly way. Thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm from New Jersey, so I'm 25 minutes out of Manhattan. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, KJ, is given the great job that you and your team have done so far, are there any competition or competitors out there who are doing similar things or going after a similar market? I know you have some of your patents in terms of like your fuel process and stuff, but how are you in terms of defensibility and your moat for your business?
That's a good question, Brian. I would say one main competitor, and they also do distributed energy solutions, would be All Power Labs. So All Power Labs, they make these biomass generators that use wood chips, and they're gas generators. And so they have a good solution. They're able to deploy them nationally and internationally. Or one of the problems that we heard about them is the unfortunate tar buildup that comes with a certain biomass combustion, especially unprocessed fuel. It's a tar buildup, which can affect the uptime of the generator. Basically, like the nuclear industry has the highest generator uptime. It's like 92% of the year it's running. Some biomass can get um, as low as 78%, and that's kind of maybe where they're at. Now, ours is a 95% efficiency. So we're right on par with the nuclear industry in that since we're using a steam process and we also originally use pulverized fuel, that actually really limits the maintenance that we have to do on these generators. And the steam is just much more reliable for biomass than a direct fired gas process. Now, on another side, there's a company that is in landfill gas. So this is not a direct competitor, as we're not really doing landfill waste. We're doing more wood waste, paper waste, cellulose-based waste. But they make modular systems. They're called Archaea Energy, and so they were purchased by BP in 2023 for about $4 billion, and they were founded in Pittsburgh, where we're located right now. So they're definitely doing great things in their field in the biomass space, and there's a lot that we can learn from them. They're in biomass, not necessarily a direct competitor, but they're someone that we actually look up to.
Okay, thanks. And it sounds like there's definitely acquisitions and a lot of other activity in the space. So yeah, it sounds like prospects could be pretty good. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Very good.
Let me
KJ,
just remind
go ahead.
before Tawana, if I may, we need to remind our audience that they have questions. They can submit them at s4g.biz/question or in the comments on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Tawana, go ahead.
KJ, what are the biggest operational challenges that you and your team have faced, and how have you overcome them?
This is a great question. So one of them is the in sales process. Basically, we wanted to make sure that we're mitigating risk in all the contracts we go through, and that risk is really mainly around the milestones and the technical milestones that we have, just to make sure it's feasible around for each planet may be different. There's a different fuel type, and that means that there's different aspects you need to consider in the design of the generators. Some hardwood is different than paper pulp sludge. Paper pulp sludge is different than cocoa husk. So we have brought in a VP of engineering, and they are actually from Archaea Energy. And so this is helping us in the early cycle of the sales process to assess what are some of the risks, what are some of the aspects that we have to look forward to in this process to make sure we can actually reach the end goal. And we start at the end of what is this power plant going to look like? What is this heat plant going to look like? And we work backwards to where we are right now, assessing all those risks so that we have each step mapped out. And when we get to that point, we have an idea on how we want to approach it and troubleshoot anything that may arise.
Very good. Thank you so much, sir.
Indeed.
KJ, I have a question a little bit around what you talked a little bit regarding the feedstock. I know you talked about Georgia Pacific and you're building the plant for them to recycle their own pulp waste, correct?
Correct.
What
Yes.
about other potential clients? Like, do they have their own feedstock, or are you helping them source and find feedstock so that they can power their own generators? How does that work?
Yeah. So there is a case of the corporation where they have enough waste on site to power their operations, and some smaller businesses don't. Like there is a Vermont furniture company that we actually signed a contract with. This is a $4.4 million power purchase agreement. It's with a company called Linden Furniture. And so they have about half the waste that they need to support a 300 kilowatt generator. They have half of that waste that they produce every year. But something that we learned early on in our company was that landscaping companies also have to pay a tipping fee to dispose of their waste at the public works department or the local recycling center in their municipality. So we signed multiple agreements with landscapers saying, hey, you can just drop your waste off to us for free. And technically, we could charge them because they pay about $20 per ton. We could charge $10 per ton, and we could look at doing that at scale. But we've decided, in order to get these generators on the ground faster, you could drop this waste off to us at no cost, and that can cover the remainder of the waste that we need for that generator. So we've done that in New Jersey, we've done it in California, we'll be doing it in Vermont, and we have these multiple sites where we'll eventually be making green waste yards that we can use to power our generators.
That's great. Thank you.
Well, everybody, this has been a phenomenal discussion. I hope you'll join me in congratulating KJ for the tremendous presentation that he's made today and for the success he's having. Let me just share a link now. This link allows you to go directly to his crowdfunding campaign. Obviously, we want to encourage you to be cautious and thoughtful about your situation, but please consider investing in the businesses we're profiling tonight. Farm to Flame Energy, you can find at s4g.biz/flame or scan the QR code to invest right now. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll be hearing from our next pitch. So stick around. You don't want to miss any of these presentations.
Ever wonder if you can raise money with a community round on WeFunder? It may not be as tricky as you think. You can start right now. Start in under 2 minutes. Visit wefunder.s4g.biz or scan the QR code to begin. Give it a try. You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can beat a green at Raise Green. Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. I am just thrilled and excited to have the opportunity to introduce you to our next presenter. Our next presenter is Usha Devi Venkatachalam, and she is the founder and CEO of Krishi Janani, leading the transition to regenerative agroecology for climate resilience. A technologist with vast global experience, she specializes in sustainable, culturally appropriate technology solutions. Usha holds degrees in mass communications, film and video, and from PSG College and American University. With that, let me turn the time over to Usha. We're excited to hear from you, Usha. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Devin. That was a great presentation, KJ. I don't know how I'm going to match, but I'm going to try. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's see. There we go.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I am Usha from Krishi Janani, creator of Janani region ecosystem. I am a computer engineer. I have built software solutions in 20 plus countries with organizations ranging from NASA to Planned Parenthood. But more importantly, I also have a multi-generational farming background. which is why this problem is quite shocking to me. For the same amount of vitamin A that our grandparents will get from one orange, we will all need to eat 8 oranges. Why? Soil depletion. And obviously, our grandparents are better farmers. But why does soil depletion happen? It is a global problem, primarily because of extractive agriculture and overuse of chemicals. Is there a solution to this? Yes. Regenerative agroecology can produce nutrient-dense food and also mitigate climate crisis, which is why we are helping small farmers to transition to regenerative agroecology and build climate resilience in their communities. The ecosystem has been prototyped in Tamil Nadu, in India, and we are now raising funds to grow and scale. The ecosystem has 3 elements. There's an agri-tech platform where farmers go to get information, tools, and market access. They also attend events and trainings where they can learn the practices. And we also have the region labs where corporates and startups work with farmers on regenerative projects. Our revenues primarily come from farmers who pay a fee for services, as well as to attend trainings, corporates who pay for ecosystem projects and to clean up or regenerate their supply chains. We also work with social enterprises and startups to give them access to our farmers and to our scaling framework. In addition to all this, we are now developing the software as well as a recipe book for scaling across the world. So it will be a software licensing plus practices to operationalize in other countries. Our mobile app, what have we built? So this is the linchpin of the agri-tech platform. It's a local language mobile app. There are 3 elements to it. There's a market module, there's an events module, and a knowledge library. The 2 sort of very nice things or the beautiful things about this platform is that 1, this is a farmer to farmer platform. So farmers are helping each other out and farmers are sharing knowledge and farmers are buying and selling from each other. Second, this is a location-based service, which means that say a farmer wants to buy a cow, she can come on the app and search for cows within 10 kilometers of her farm. So in addition to this, our network has about 12,000 plus farmers in offline and online channels. It took us almost 15 months for the first 1,000 installs when we launched the app in 2022. The next set of 1,000 installations happened in 6 months. And the reason why is because we spent years, 4 to 5 years, living with farmers, learning from them, understanding their pressures, and most importantly, understanding what leverage is there for transition. So that's the reason why you see that growth, that organic growth, if I may say so. So our team is full of people with decades of experience in strategy, fundraising, impact, nonprofit leadership, and of course, software engineering. You can go to Crowdfund Main Street to see some of to look deeper into our profiles and also to check out why we are doing, what moves us to do this work. We have also been recognized with awards and accelerator prizes. As I mentioned earlier, we are raising funds to grow and scale across the world. We are raising funds on Crowdfund Main Street. The opportunity that I am here to tap into, the world needs to tap into is this. In Tamil Nadu, where we are currently, there are 3.2 million agricultural households. Globally, there are 600 million smallholders. If we build their climate resilience and if we can create ecological prosperity for all of them, they will be the ones who will change the dynamic for the climate crisis, and they will be the one who will save all of us. And remember again, our grandparents were better farmers. So what we are trying now to do is to figure out how to bring all of those practices back. Thank you. And you can check out the information at s4g.biz/Krishi. Thank you.
Devin, we can't hear you.
It's probably easier to hear me if I unmute myself, but we're excited. Let me bring in our experts now to ask some questions. But as I do that, I want to just remind all of you to consider asking questions. If you have a question, don't wait to the last minute. The Q&A for each of our pitchers is brief. If you've got a question, ask it now so we get time to get to that before we wrap up. With that, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay,
Usha, very, very well done, my dear. How are you going to ensure scalability, right, of your solutions for the actual farmers?
So I will go back to our knowledge library. So for us, the first, when we were all living with farmers and learning with farmers, the first knowledge or the first piece of learning is that we cannot solve all problems for all farmers. So I can suggest a regenerative practice to one farmer, but you are growing turmeric, Marcia is growing tomato, Brian is growing sugarcane, right? The solution has to be customized for each of those contexts. And it also has to be customized by the agroecological region. If you have a lot of water, it's a different solution. If you don't have So that's why we are building a knowledge library that's a living library. What I mean by that is, I think many of us have used Quora, Stack Overflow, things like that. So what we are helping farmers do is, with the practice, we are helping them build the context. So somebody may come and ask a question. I have a pest in my turmeric. How am I going to support this? Somebody else, another farmer, will answer that question. And then a third farmer might say, this doesn't work, or I don't have this natural ingredient, so instead I use this ingredient, right? So over a period of time, that library builds up. And as the library builds up, our opportunity to scale it across all of Tamil Nadu grows. And when we want to grow outside of our region, we are also trying to give only the software, right? The local context and the farmers and the knowledge should come from Kenya or Sri Lanka or wherever they are. So that's why we only give the recipe book, not the data, not the practice. It's just the practice and the technology.
Very good. Thank you very much.
So I'll piggyback off that, and thank you again, Usha, for your presentation. One of the things I see as a potential advantage of what you're building, right, are some of those potential network effects once you get that critical mass of all the farmers on the program and building that knowledge base. Can you talk a little bit about how you're incentivizing them and how you're recruiting the farmers to come on the platform, since they are such a critical part?
Sure. So most of the times, and I should also tell you, it depends on various contexts. The internet connectivity changes in various contexts. And so when they have connectivity, what we realize is that we look at it as a whole household, right? So one person in the household will have connectivity, one. Second, the way to incentivize is, we usually work with farmers, promoting farmers and showcasing farm leaders. So what that ends up doing is, when a farm leader provides a solution, they have more trust than us. We are, at the end of the day, we are a platform provider. So that trust means that 3 or 4 more farmers come. Most of our farmers come by word of mouth. But now we have been there for years. We have built the trust. Our events and all of our activities get their own natural organic growth. So lots of people come. But these are all very local, very rural communities. So all of it has to happen through trust and word of mouth, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So how do you then expand globally, or go to other places beyond those local communities?
Thank you. That's a great question, which is again why we are only giving the recipe book and the technology platform, right? The expert in that situation is an NGO. That's my background. We have worked with lots of NGOs, building technology platforms for them, and also social enterprises. One of the challenges of social enterprises or NGOs working with regenerative agriculture is they are very good in that subject matter, but they want a technology platform that they can then use to scale that subject matter across the country. So we will not be operationally in Kenya or Sri Lanka, but our platform and the recipe book will be, and it will be a partner who who is trusted in the local community.
Thank you.
Usha, can you talk for a second? And I think this comes back to a little bit to the scalability that I'm like, how do you actually make money? Like, are the farmers paying for this? Are locals paying for this? Like, how are you going to scale this to be a profitable business?
So the software will be licensed to NGOs and social enterprises, one. Second, as I mentioned earlier, we have three groups of customers. One is farmers paying for their trainings, paying for services, paying for sales that are facilitated through the platform. Two, corporates, actually, we have gotten increasingly, corporates are worried about climate change and their impact on their farming community. So we are working with corporates to transition their growers. Corporates pay us a fee to transition the growers. And the third is, because we have such a huge network of farmers, social enterprises, startups that have regenerative solutions, they need a partner who can take their solution from pilot to hundreds, thousands of farmers. So the Regen Lab then has a scaling framework fee as well as a lab service fee that startups and social enterprises pay. So those are our three primary revenue generators.
Great, thank you.
Usha, how are you explained that the farmers are essentially managing this database of information, right? How are you fact checking it? Do you have some kind of proof of concept protocols that allow us to ensure that they have successfully implemented this idea they have before it spreads to the other communities to try to implement?
Yeah, so the regenerative package of practice is a set of practice. And on top of that are the changes, right? And if you remember Stack Overflow or Cora, farmers actually also then add on to the answer. They can say it works. They can say which worked for mine. And so over a period, there is within the platform, there's the ability to vote for a solution. And there's all farmers can vote for solutions. This one worked for me, that one worked for me. And the person who had the problem can say, this is how my problem was solved. So over a period of time, this data starts building on itself. So that's why we are calling that our living library.
Okay, thank you.
Given your technical background and kind of your technical chops, I'm curious, what's next on the tech roadmap? What are you working on after this round of funding, and what are the next milestones?
So we have had quite a few requests for a farm diary module, right? To keep track of what activities happen on the farm. So that is one thing that we are building up. There's quite a lot of requests for groups. Sort of sugarcane growers group, turmeric growers group. So those are the two that are in the next sort of version of the product roadmap. Our roadmap extends to 2 or 3 years. Those are in the next roadmap.
And Usha, and I think we kind of alluded to this, how are you going to measure the impact of and measure the success of this product with the farmers?
So it again goes back to the regenerative practices. The Regen Lab actually works with educational institutions to measure the impact before we suggest or do trainings, right? So, for example, we are planning to do a training on biochar. We had done a couple of trainings on rainwater harvesting, right? Those are measurable in the sense that what happened to your soil before you applied biochar and after you applied biochar, what happened to your yield. So we partner with educational institutions to do some of the scientific study. So when I keep saying our grandparents were better farmers, they were better farmers. Traditional farming, lots of things worked, but most times there was not enough scientific data around how it worked or why it worked. So the Regen Lab's role is to partner with educational institutions and bring that sort of scientific data-backed traditional practices.
Usha, another question.
Let me sneak in here and just remind everyone, forgive me, let me just remind everyone that if you have a question for Usha, now is the time to ask. Submit your question at s4g.biz/question or in the comments on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn.
Very good.
Go ahead, Tawana.
Tell us about any competition that you have in this space.
So there's quite a lot of competition from corporate networks built for farmers. But the challenge is mostly they deal with one crop. So it may be one corporate that has 10,000 lychee growers. So they would have set up a network for 10,000 lychee growers. But if you looked at the small farmer profile, they grow multiple things. And based on seasonality and rain, they may change their crop next year. So there's not a lot that are bottom-up networks like what we are trying to do. And in a way, the top-down networks end up disempowering farmers because they keep saying, we have the solution. But in fact, the farmers actually have the solution. That's what we missed in all of the networks and building communities and things like that. So that's our sort of our differentiator.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, everyone, we're thrilled that we've had this opportunity to hear from Usha. Let me point out again that you are invited to invest now at s4g.biz/Krishi. That'll take you directly to her campaign where you can learn more and invest. Again, we encourage you not to invest more than you should and to be careful and wise, but we want to encourage you to take this opportunity seriously, to have great social impact and have an opportunity to make a return while you do it. Again, Usha, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We're thrilled to have you, and we invite everyone to stick around. We'll be voting on the Super Crowd Audience Choice Award later in the show, so stick around. Don't leave. Now we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Ever wonder if you can raise money with a community round on WeFunder? It may not be as tricky as you think. You can start right now. Start in under 2 minutes. Visit wefunder.s4g.biz or scan the QR code to begin. Give it a try. You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can beat a green at Raise Green. Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. We are so excited to have you all here today, and we're excited to have our next presenter here with us. Khaliah Guillory is our next presenter, and we're just excited and thrilled to have her on the show. She's the CEO and co-founder of Nap Bar. So stick around. You don't want to miss this. Go ahead, Khaliah.
All right. Yo, dope humans. Khaliah Guillory here, certified sleep coach and professional napper. Raise your hand if this has ever been you. The lounge is at capacity, or your flight is delayed, or worse, canceled due to weather or the pilot shortage. Allow me to introduce you to Nap Bar, the first Black, queer, woman-owned luxury sleep suites in the world. Our eco-friendly rest sanctuaries are backed by science and engage all 5 senses. We were awarded a 10-year contract to open our flagship location at Bush Airport in Houston, Texas, slated to open late summer. I like to call out a couple of milestones. We inked an agreement with Lululemon as an authorized retailer at the airport. This means our margins have improved and our cost of goods have decreased. And the coolest part is we were approved to customize the gear with Nap Bar logo and our catchphrases. Also, this past February, we activated at the Grammys. Listen, John Batiste, his smile said it all. The artists love the VR experience and our custom better sleep box. Tashina Arnold, AKA Pam from Martin, even inquired about purchasing 2 headsets. Our competitor has monopolized the market for 16 years and focuses on efficiency. Data suggests that they generated 16 million in revenue across approximately 10 locations. NAPBAR's differentiator, we focus on luxury and capturing the heartbeat of the city we are in. For example, Houston, we're paying honor and homage to our World Series champs. We have a NASA VR communal room, and of course, we must have a Beehive suite to honor Queen Bee herself. Dope, right? I own the licensing and curated the virtual reality software we affectionately refer to as MetaSnooze. Study shows sleep VR therapy has been linked to reducing mental stressors. Travelers and airport employees will be transported to a serene environment all across the globe, listening to words of affirmation and brainwave soundscapes. From a standpoint of traction, we perform 10,000 rest experiences globally. In addition to the approximate 4.5 million travelers per year, we will partner with travel companies, think Expedia and lounges. You can book your travel and book your nap. In addition, we'll leverage geofencing technology. Example, if a traveler has previously searched rest or sleep at the airport when they are in close proximity to NAPBAR, they will receive a push notification that says, "Hey, sleepyhead, it's happy hour. Head to NAPBAR at gate D1 to rest, recharge, and get $10 off." We are at the intersection of rest to dominate the market. Global wellness economy, 2 trillion. Global virtual reality, 60 billion. Global airport sleeping pods, $85 million. And NAPBAR is at the sweet spot of it all. Our revenue model is a 3-pronged approach. Our members, think airport staff, TSA agents, flight attendants, pilots. For consumers, it's $1 a minute with a minimum of 60 minutes per booking. Corporations, we will continue with the pop-up model. Now, this is the wildest slide of your lifetime. With all numbers super conservative, in less than 2 years, NAPBAR is forecasted to generate over $1 million and knocking on 40% EBITDA. And all of this is just at the airport. Insert mind-blown emoji here. The best part is, these forecasts do not include all of our projected verticals. We will scale everywhere sleepy people are. Think colleges, corporations. Mark Cuban even posted he's building a metroplex and called out including sleep suites. Hospitals when sitting in the uncomfortable lobby chairs, waiting for a loved one, and provide a safe haven for the superheroes. Doctors and nurses to achieve restorative respite. Now, this is the dream team to help you dream. Call out Dr. Mary Stone, board certified head of infection control, to ensure you are resting in a safe and clean environment. Houston, we have rest. We are raising on WeFunder. Go to wefunder.com/NAPBAR or scan the QR code on the screen. Join me as we reimagine a world of quality sleep conquered by innovation in the most disruptive way possible. Gratitude.
Fantastic. Wow, what a great presentation. What a great pitch. Well, let me bring in our experts here and remind you all, as I do that, to submit your questions at s4g.biz/question, or you can add them. Let's see, we got to hide the presentation here. There we go. Okay, there we got our experts up there where you can see them. Questions, s4g.biz/question, or scan that QR code, or you can submit them online where you're watching, if you're watching on social media. So if you're watching at YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, you can submit your questions there in the comments, and we will see and track those. So go right ahead. Now, who wants to ask the first question?
Awesome. Well, Khaliah, I feel like I got some of your energy from that. I'm usually going to bed right now. I'm on the East Coast. I'm ready to run a marathon. That was awesome presentation.
Same, Brian. This is my bedtime as well, brother.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
So, I think I'm kind of just curious, how are you currently competing and positioning your product versus that traditional? Are you competing on cost? Is it more the experience? Both?
Both. So it's really a 3-pronged approach, right? It's my competitors, their 60-minute nap is $45, and ours is $60 for 60 minutes. The other piece that we're doing is that we're offering merchandise, right? So we're offering another revenue stream that will allow for us to generate more revenue at the airport. So that Lululemon, I think some of the Lululemon team is on the line. That relationship is important, because when you think about it, we've been authorized to sell their gear with our logo on it at the airport. So imagine that from a unit cost, you're going to pay retail $100 for the Lululemon yoga pants. Nap Bar wholesale account, we're going to spend $50 for it. And then because of the airport markup and the Nap Bar logo on it, we'll be able to sell it for $120 at the airport. The last piece that's really going to set us apart is that I own the intellectual property and the licensing for our virtual reality experience, MetaSnooze. No one else is doing that we've seen in the space. And so that's just going to continue to grow. We had a really good chat a couple of weeks ago with NASA and being able to provide, an experience where you're walking on the moon and just really doing some really cool things while you're waiting for your flight, or you're just on a layover, just something cool to do while you're killing the time.
That's amazing. Yeah, I got to imagine there's so many other ways you could take that VR part of the product as well. So very exciting.
So many, Brian, so many. Thank you.
Very good. I'll jump in next. If I had your energy, I guess I need to nap more. That's the takeaway. We need to take nap more. Thank you so much for a wonderful, energetic presentation, but more than anything else, so informative. And congratulations on the work you and your team are doing. Please elaborate a little bit on the infectious disease standpoint, right? I'm a self-proclaimed OCD germaphobe. How are you going to keep me safe?
Well, I will say, if everyone who's watching the chat right now, make sure you go in there, because Dr. Mary Stone is actually in the building, and I'm sure she's going to share from board certified physician. She'll share her game plan on how we adopted this hospital grade infection control. But from my perspective, one of the cool things is that I mentioned that we have organic mattresses in our spaces, right? Or maybe I didn't mention that. I waited that for the QR. So those spaces are outfitted with organic mattresses, linen, and sheets. We did organic because, number one, I want us to be health conscious. But the second reason is that when you have an organic mattress, it's self-ventilating. Our actual mattresses are self-ventilated. They're handcrafted, and they're also made from natural materials. So what that means is that when you have a regular mattress that's made from chemicals and toxins, for example, that allows bed bugs to eat for them to breathe. They don't have anything to eat or breathe whenever they're on a natural mattress, because there's nothing there for them to eat. The second piece is that we are washing on site. So our plans for the airport, we built out a laundry room. I strategically did that because when we were opened inside the Galleria Mall here in Houston, Texas, I realized one of my biggest line items was outsourcing laundry. And so I said, when I get my next location, I'm going to do laundry on site. That's what we're going to do. And so we'll be able to wash those organic sheets that, again, are made from natural materials in hot water, making sure that if there's any microbacteria that's on there, we're killing it immediately. Anything that's high touch area will be sanitized. Recently, well, not even recently, during the pandemic, if you rent a car, now there's always a wipe in the room or a wipe in the car. So we're going to also have access so you can self-clean if you like, but also is keeping ourselves and holding ourselves accountable to regular cleaning services, deep cleaning as well. I mean, you name it, we'll be there to make sure that we're leveraging so you feel safe and free. Because when you walk into some place and it smells clean and it smells fresh, generally you're reduced, like, okay, I can hang out here. I'm like you too. Like I'm washing my hands. I'm making sure, like, looking around. I don't see any dirt in the corner, so it'll pass the sniff test as well.
Very good. Very good. You sold me. I feel comfortable now.
I'll be looking for you when you come through Houston.
Khaliah, thank you so much. I think this is great. As I mentioned to you yesterday, I've spent time in your competitor sleep pods at the airport here in New York. But I really love that you have. I just want to point out, like, I really love that you have multiple revenue streams here and that you're not just focused on the airports. I was actually thinking about my kids' back to school shopping and how it would be really nice to take a nap in the middle of shopping with my teenagers in the mall. I did want to ask a little bit more. and maybe drill down a little bit. You talk a little bit about like the scaling. Like you have a lot of different, you have a lot of energy, and you have a lot of different places that you are looking to scale. Like, where are you focused next? Like, what's going to be the highest and best revenue stream in the short term for you?
It's looking like that's going to be a cross between sporting venues as well as hospitals. I'll give you an example. Here in Houston, there's a hospital, LBJ. They just won a grant to basically build out, renew the airport. It's not the airport, renew the hospital that they have. And so, when we think about where all of our heroes are, they're working, for the most part, they're working in healthcare, right? And the biggest burnout that we have seen from a historical standpoint is in healthcare. And so when we go into hospitals, not only are we taking care of the folks that work there that are taking care of us and taking care of our loved one, we're also taking care of the person that's sitting in that chair. That's, my aunt went through diabetes. She has diabetes, and she was on dialysis. And I remember those were days, right? Like you were there for hours on end, just sitting in the waiting room, making sure that she's good. But what if there was a nap bar that you could access and you could wait there? You could take a nap. You can Netflix and chill. All of our suites are outfitted with TVs as well. So if you wanted to pop on some Netflix and chill, you could do that. We have workstations inside as well, so you can do some work. So to answer your question, Marsha, I believe I'm leaning towards hospitals. We already are in talks with some hospitals here. We are in Houston. We're the mecca of the medical center. So that really probably seems the next shoe in addition to all the sporting venues and teams that we have in Houston as well.
Amazing. That's great. Thank you. It's just so refreshing to hear that you've actually thought about that, right? That like, where the next big market is for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll chime in. There's a question from Kyle, and I have kind of a follow-on to Kyle's question. So Kyle was asking if you're looking into opening at other airport locations. And I'm also just curious, I mean, you locked down a 10-year contract, I think you said, for the airport that you have. That's huge. That sounds like, that's everyone's dream, right, is to have a 10-year contract. What do your contracts look like in some of those hospitals and other locations as well?
Let me tackle Kyle's question first, and then I'll tackle that one, Brian. Locations opening, yes, we already have a LOI ready to go, signed, sealed. We're just waiting for the RFP to be awarded. Hopefully we'll get that news towards the beginning Q1 of 2025. But if the RFP is awarded, our second location will be ready to open that one as well, the end of 2025. So from a scalability, I have a suspicion that, my whole goal was like, if I get one contract and then the rest will come, and that's serving to be true. Going back to your last, what was the next question, Brian? I just want to make sure.
So I'm curious if, you get the Houston for a 10-year contract. What do the contracts look like if you're going to the hospitals or some of those other locations? Are they as long? Are they structured a little bit differently?
Yeah, and that's interesting because that has never been done before. So we will definitely be early adopters in that space. And one of the things that I love to do with my corporate clients is co-create. What makes sense for both of us? I think if anybody who is going to hang their hat as being an entrepreneur and a business person, it has to be reciprocated, right? So, is that a revenue share? Is that a long-term contract? Do we want to do a pilot? We did a pilot here in Houston last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago now, with the Harris Health Center. And we did, this is for the folks who are the superheroes who are answering the phones for our distressed folks in the city who need mental health and mental health stressors. And we saw some amazing results from a KPI standpoint. We saw a reduction in mental health, mental stressors, even attrition. Like folks were showing up to work on time. Their mood was good. Folks started to notice it. So, I think there's so many different ways that we can scale it. I'm not married to a particular outcome. I'm just married to making sure that my goal to solve the $411 billion U.S. economic loss is solved. And if that means that we co-create what this looks like so we get to as many people as we can, that's what we'll do.
Awesome. Well, when you come to the Northeast, let me know. I'll definitely look forward to using it.
There. And when you fly through Houston, I need to see that face.
Yeah. So, Khaliah, we've got a question from Sarah who asks, have you spoken with any hospital systems?
I have. I am under an NDA right now, so I cannot share those systems with you per se. But if you have any referrals for me, Sarah, feel free. I will figure out how to get connected to you, and we can have a chat.
Great. We've got another minute or two if you've got more questions for Khaliah, experts.
I do have another question. So when I just think about the airport line of business, how are you going to ensure consistency in quality across the different locations?
It starts with hiring, slow to hire and fast to fire, right? That's my motto. And making sure that I have the right people in place in the NAPs, in the NAP bar, so that we can make sure that we're delivering the same experience every single day for everybody. You know, I subscribe to that model where it doesn't matter where we are in terms of in a system of if we're in Houston at the airport or we're in Kentucky. If you fly with us and you're a member, I want you to still get the same. It's the Chick-fil-A model. You get the same experience at the same place. And so, you know, I'm also big on making sure that we are promoting within. So I believe in training my people so that whenever we scale and we are in year 5, we have 5 locations, that worker, that employee that started with me, whenever they were a comfort concierge, now they're the general manager, you know. So that's really the key is a customer-centric, a human-centric approach. And that means that's me taking care of my people and also taking care of my nappers.
Very good. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Great questions. Thank you all.
I like that. Human-centric. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Listen, take it, spread it out. We need to get everybody thinking that way.
All righty, everybody. This has been a great discussion. Let me just suggest that you take seriously the invitation to consider investing. Visit s4g.biz/nap or scan the QR code to learn more. Again, we encourage you to be thoughtful and cautious. Investing carries risks, but we invite you to consider seriously the opportunity to invest now in S4G or in NAP bar at s4g.biz/nap. And with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back in a minute with our next presentation.
Ever wonder if you can raise money with a community round on WeFunder? It may not be as tricky as you think. You can start right now. Start in under 2 minutes. Visit wefunder.s4g.biz or scan the QR code to begin. Give it a try. You can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can be a green at Raise Green. Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Welcome back, everyone. I am so thrilled to introduce you now to Anna Gudmundson, who is the co-founder and CEO of Sensate. Anna, we are just thrilled to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. And let me just share real quickly here the Sensate investment opportunity there. Scan that, take a look at more. If you've got questions, be sure to submit a question. With that, let's turn the time over to Anna. Anna, take it away.
Thank you so much. So, hello, my name is Anna Gudmundson. I am the CEO and co-founder of Sensate. I have over 20 years experience in exponentially growing markets. And so at the root of a functional human is a regulated nervous system. And so at Sensate, we have a groundbreaking product that serves this enormous market and enormous need, which is stress and anxiety. And we're on a really good way to becoming a leader in this space. So I'll start with some quick highlights just to give you an idea of more or less where we're at, and then we dig in a little bit. So firstly, we've generated over 5 million in net revenues last year, serving people all over the world. We're seeing incredible usage and efficacy, which is how we're already having a positive impact. And we're on a clear path to profitability with multiple revenue streams. We've also received a lot of valuable support, backing, and recognition. So let's get into it. These successes both reflect the strength of the product and the critical need for effective solutions for stress, anxiety, and sleep. Mental wellness is now its own sector since 2020 and is growing much, much faster than the general economy. So our first product, the Sensate Pebble, comes out of my co-founder's 3 decades of clinical work and is leading this new cross-sector paradigm, utilizing the power of something as natural to the body as sonic waves and frequency. We also launched a Plus subscription last year, which is optional, and we've had consistently over 50% attach rate, which is incredibly good. And we have a lot more exciting things on the roadmap. So how does this magic happen? Sensate utilizes infrasonic waves and sound to calm the nervous system in as little as 10 minutes. The frequencies between the hearable and the subaudible are harmonized. The Pebble is a general wellness product, not a medical device, which means that we've been able to go straight to market and commercialize. Our research is showing amazing results. I think, however, the greatest challenge is to get people to use the product. So a lot of products perform well in a clinical setting, but fail to translate to at-home use. And this is really Sensate's superpower. And if people aren't using it, it's completely useless. And proving traction with users is the most important, both for obviously business success and certainly to have any impact on the person using it. We've been mentioned in the press more than 400 times. And this really just emphasizes the critical demand for stress management solutions. We have won 4 awards, and we're very grateful for that. I think the visibility just helps us grow and deliver on our mission. We are headquartered in Southern California with fantastic teams in the UK and Argentina. Both my co-founder, Stefan Schmelik, and myself bring substantial expertise in our respective roles. Stefan has pioneered integrated healthcare in Europe, while my experience has been instrumental in fundraising, scaling the company, and building a strong team, etc. Building for positive impact means integrating that mindset into every part of the business. Our impact goals are part of our mission and strategy. And that means that the team will naturally find win-win solutions. And that is for us, for our customers, for our investors, the community, and the planet. So positive impact and commercial success is certainly enhancing each other for us. And so as you can see, we've made significant progress to date, and we are on track to profitability. Last year, we focused mainly on strategic, important milestones for scalability. We launched our subscription service with tremendous performance, and also diversified our sales channels for affiliates and partnerships. And so from next year on, we'll really start to scale, and we project to reach unicorn level by 2028. And this is why it all matters. Achieving peace in the world begins with cultivating peace within ourselves. True freedom and the ability to help others come from building stress resiliency and self-regulation. So by reducing stress, we actually enhance our empathy and ability to care for others and the planet. I think right now we have so many people that are not able to self-regulate, and a lot of people need tools to do this at home. And I'm very excited that Sensate is meeting this need. So I would love you to be part of our scale journey. This is also an opportunity for your investment to have significant positive impact across the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a great presentation. What a great presentation. Let me just pop up here quickly the reminder to, if you've got a question for Anna, submit it here, s4g.biz/question, or scan that QR code. And to invest in Sensate, visit s4g.biz/Sensate, or again, scan that QR code. And with that, let me bring our expert panel up to begin some discussion with you, Anna. Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome. Who wants to kick this off?
Marcia, you want to go first?
I'll kick this one off. Anna, thank you so much. Like really appreciate what you're doing. I love this story. A couple of questions, and maybe I'll start with the first one here and then let other people chime in. How are you, and I asked this one earlier with one of the other presenters, how are you going to measure impact? Like, you know, you want to reach unicorn status, you know, that's a great, you know, I think that's a great goal. But how are you going to measure the impact of what you're accomplishing with this tool, this consumer device?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there are so many different ways to do that. So obviously, the nice thing when you have a product that is already having a positive impact in and of itself, then clearly the fact that we are seeing that people keep using the product, I mean, it's fantastic to be able to work for a company where I can say that we are actively creating more consciousness on the planet, which is neurological, because when we are getting, each person we're getting out of an activated stress response, with an activated stress response, neurologically, we're disconnecting our prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is where our executive functions, our problem solving, our empathy, all of these important aspects that make us human and care for each other are actually suppressed, as is immune system and digestive system, which obviously has health impact. So just by using the product, we are increasing consciousness, or the ripple effects on reducing stress in general. So that's just the first part. The other part is we actually have an impact roadmap where we have already started with recycling product and product parts, where we can use them for pilot studies. There are certain aspects that we're very interested in, for example, working with veterans, first responders, and so on. So putting it out there as well. We're interested in partnerships. So I think it's like thinking about impact in every part of the way. As I mentioned, is a culture. It means that it's very natural. Anyone's just looking, okay, what do I do with our upgraded packaging? Okay, well, how do we do it more sustainable? But we also have this goal of reaching 100 million people. So as we roll out additional products, additional services, there will also be free content. There will also be a lot of lower price aspects that can reach wider people. So there's sort of the core product, the extension of the brand and everything that we offer. And then there is a specific impact roadmap that we work with also groups that don't have access to our type of products, but collaborate more as well with other parties and NGOs that are working in stress, anxiety, and sleep issues.
Thank you.
Interesting. Anna, first of all, very well done. Great presentation. I want to piggyback off of Marcia's question, and then I have a different question also. Are you collecting any data from the experience that drills down to the customer well-being? Like, how do you know that it really worked?
So right now we are not storing any health data. What we can see is usage data. And then we have a lot of research, and we also have quite a few questionnaires and studies. So over time, there will be even more in this space. We have not invested primarily in those areas. So the most important aspect is actually, are people continuously using the product? So I have a background in consumer health and wellness, and the hardest thing is to get people to continuously use a product. So for example, I love Headspace. It's a meditation app that I've recommended to so many people. Unfortunately, all these apps have enormous churn, and the usage drops off a lot. So what we're seeing, and it's actually why I'm doing this, is that the continuous usage is like more than 10x that. And so given that it's so difficult to get people to use a product, if it's only subtly helping, you almost don't stand a chance. And this is one of our strongest competitive advantages, which is people actually really feel calmer from the first session. And that helps then with the continuous usage, which helps with real long-term effects. So that, I couldn't state that enough. It is the hardest thing, and it is definitely the most important thing how we stand out.
Very, very good. My next question was, what marketing strategies have been the most successful in driving awareness and sales? I mean, 5.3 million in 2023 is very, very impressive.
Thank you. So I really wanted to understand when we started out if this was as good of a product as it looked. So wanted to go straight to market, and it's actually kind of hard to go direct to consumer, but that's where you get the immediate response from the market. So we started by going direct to consumer and with reasonably broad messaging, because I didn't even expect that would work. And so we've had tremendous results in direct to consumer. So it is still our largest channel. We're selling on GetSensate.com, on Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart. And then we are also selling through B2B2C. And we have partnerships. And interestingly, the partnerships is the fastest growing channel right now. And that includes, and also it's primarily inbound. There are clinics, practitioners, a lot of people in integrated healthcare, etc., that find that with their other health programs, and also interestingly a lot with digestion, because vagus nerve and all of that, they need some way to get their clients or patients to self-regulate or to de-stress during, like, between their sessions, whatever it is, even in more like luxury or holistic beauty, actually. So they often contact us, having already been recommending the product to a lot of patients and clients, and say, hey, we really love what you're doing. It's the product that we can get our patients and customers to continuously use. Is there a way to partner? Can I get more support? So that is the fastest growing channel for us right now.
Very good. Thank you.
So as the partnership channel continues to grow, Pebble sales will continue to grow. I noticed you kind of dropped in there that, Pebble was your first product. Can you tell us anything about what might be on the future roadmap of other products coming up, or?
Well, obviously, we don't want to say too much. There is definitely some competitive challenges with that. But I can hint at, for example, we have a lot of users, about 25% of our users that use it for sleep. It's not potentially, the most optimal form factor. We also have a lot of people that use it for optimization. So people in longevity, biohacking, health hacking. It's not a product that is optimal. First product is, our kind of flagship product for general stress, for relaxation, but no de-stress. And but a lot of people do use it for sleep. About 25% of our customers use it for sleep improvement. We also have the subscription service, which is optional, I should mention, and that has been incredibly successful. It is optional and actually not needed. So typically, when I look at a premium subscription service where the product cost is already $299, I would have expected about 5 to 7% of uptake on a premium subscription, which is aimed at our frequent users, and we have consistently had over 50% attach rate. So that is also a very unusually high number for my background in consumer metrics, but very, very encouraging.
Yeah, awesome. Congrats on that. And so I guess one other follow-on question to that, can you talk anything in terms of like your margins, and then as it grows and you scale, do you have any concerns, or how are you thinking about just the manufacturing and the supply chain and everything that goes into building a hardware product like that at scale?
Yeah, no, great question. I think we're definitely past the sort of challenging part. I think the first batches and the first iterations are the challenging ones, and we did have challenges. So now we're at a point where we've had steady revenues for long enough. We've iterated on the product. So now it's kind of really getting easy. We're not seeing the returns. We did do some changes to just the hardware to make sure that we had multiple providers of components. So that was an adjustment that we did in the design, which has secured that. The IP, and we have a granted patent as well, I should mention, and the IP is much more in the firmware and the harmonization between frequencies, and not in proprietary components. So we have less risk there than a lot of other hardware providers. So I don't really foresee many issues there. And obviously the margins just keep increasing. So as we scale, the margins are dropping substantially. And then we add on also the compounding now of the annual subscription.
Got it. Thank you.
Anna, I want to jump in here. You've got a couple of questions. A lot of questions have come in. Let me filter a little bit and ask. You mentioned sleep is one of the things people use it for. Fred asked specifically if it helps with REM sleep, and Fred asked a follow-up question. He said it's not technically recognized. It's not a health device, but wonders if it qualifies for reimbursement through a health savings account.
Okay, great. Yes, no, it is a general wellness product. It's not a medical device. It's available on HSA, FSA. For people in the US, and so there's a lot of interest as well, actually, from hospitals. So those are conversations that we're initiating. But today, yeah, HSA, FSA is available.
That's terrific. Experts, do you have any more questions? Don't let me stop you. Bridget has a question. She says, has there been any research to see if it helps with tinnitus? I'm not sure how you say that. I apologize. But that's the ringing in your ears, right? Either
ringing in ears,
and I actually,
I have it too, actually, and I think it's neck tension related from the insane hours I do at my laptop. And I forgot actually to answer the recent question about REM sleep. So we have done a study which showed a significant increase in deep sleep. We have not specifically studied REM sleep, so I don't have an answer to that right now. And yeah, I covered very briefly, so short 5 minutes, some summaries from the research. Again, it's not clinical level, but significant and standardized ways to measure. So the one part is the significant increase in sleep and deep sleep and quality. And then the other part is around the very first session, shift towards a meditative state. So these are people that have not meditated, they're not meditators, they've never used the Sensate before. From the very first session, we see a significant increase in theta brainwaves and a decrease in beta brainwaves, which is kind of shifting towards a meditative state from the first session. So that's also very exciting.
Fantastic. Experts, do you have a final question for Anna?
I see there's a question from Lions in the Q&A. Is the app required, or is it just battery or electrical powered?
Okay, great. Yes, the app is required, but so it does actually in terms of part of the session is it plays the music, the sound therapy part of it, and then it starts to stop the infrasonic sound. So it can even be on plane safe just with the Bluetooth off, but the Bluetooth only sends start and stop signals. So there's absolute minimum EMF or anything like that, and significantly less than a mobile phone. But yeah, in the app, you can choose the different sessions. So there's a library of different sessions. They are between 10 and 30 minutes. You can stop and start the sessions, and you can increase or decrease both volume and intensity of the subaudible or the infrasonic frequencies.
Well, this has just been such a great discussion. I really want to thank you, Anna, for being here and for presenting today. We want to wish you every success in your capital raise. I want to encourage everyone who's watching to take seriously the invitation to learn more about investing in Sensate. Visit s4g.biz/Sensate, or just scan that QR code if you have any trouble with that URL. But we want to encourage you to think seriously about this. Of course, don't invest more than you can stand to lose. Be careful. But this is a wonderful opportunity to look at these companies tonight and to pick one or more that have impact and the potential to provide a nice financial return. So again, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to vote. We're going to vote on the Super Crowd Audience Choice Award, and the judges will be deliberating on their choice of the Judges' Choice Award. So we've got 2 awards to grant. Stick around. You don't want to miss this opportunity. We'll tell you how to vote right after this break.
Ever wonder if you can raise money with a community round on WeFunder? It may not be as tricky as you think. You can start right now. Start in under 2 minutes. Visit wefunder.s4g.biz or scan the QR code to begin. Give it a try. you can get in on the ground floor to help fix the climate crisis for as little as $100. Pause now to scan the QR code to get started or visit s4g.biz/raisegreen. You can be a green at Raise Green. Hope to raise money from the impact crowd. Good investors are as interested in community, social or environmental impact as you. Connect with Funding Hope, an SEC-registered FINRA member crowdfunding portal to learn how to raise capital from the impact crowd. Scan the QR code now.
Well, everyone, we have had what an extraordinary opportunity to hear 4 great pitches. And not only 4 great pitches, but a kind and polite interrogation by our 3 expert panelists who've been here, all of them deeply experienced investors who know what to look for, and we're grateful for their insight. So now, in a minute, our judges are going to begin a public deliberation of the Judges' Choice Award. But while they deliberate, everyone is invited to vote for the Audience Choice Award. We call it the Super Crowd Award at this, and you can vote at s4g.biz/vote or scan this QR code. So s4g.biz/vote or scan the QR code. And with that, I'm going to duck out and invite the 3 judges to jump on stage and duke it out so that we can figure out who gets the Judges' Choice Award.
Oh.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, good luck is right. This is tough. They were all amazing. Not just amazing, but they all have businesses that scale globally, right? Which is a wonderful thing. You've got Usha, who's built community. KJ is saving the world 1 kilowatt at a time, right? And then you've got Anna, who's tackling stress, which is the silent killer, right? We always hear that. And then you've got Khaliah. I mean, she can scale to hospitals, corporations, airports, meta-snooze. Oh my, right? Like, I mean, how on earth are we going to decide? I mean, they're all so amazing.
It is. And, I think one of the things as an investor you usually look for too is like, what type of traction have you seen? And I think everyone tonight, demonstrated traction either through revenues, through users, through, in terms of contracts and everything else. So it's just super impressive in terms of the quality. Yeah.
I made a note that like all of them have already raised money. All of them have partnerships. All of them have customers, have revenue. Like this is like, I think this is such an impressive crowd of presenters and speakers. So I don't know how we're going to decide which one it's going to move forward. I guess my only thinking is back to like this is an impact focused super crowd, and I think 1 or 2 of them have more measurable impact, and so maybe I would lean into looking to that and discussing that. But I would love to hear what the other 2 of you think about that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good approach, and maybe scale it down. Maybe let's see who the top 3 are, right? And see if we can eliminate 1 to get to the 2. When you think about impact that is measurable, right? For me, I struggle a little bit with what Usha has built, right? I think the network of farmers sharing their experiences is wonderful, but the business really then is dependent on the community, right? Mm-hmm. And so if the community fails, then the tech fails and it's no longer helpful and useful. And as someone who has a community, that's risky, right? If you don't keep them engaged and if they're not continuing to share ideas and they don't get too busy solving the problem to share the problem, you've got a business model issue. And so that's a little concerning for me when I think about the measurable nature of this.
Yeah, and I think, Usha has done great in the fact that they have, the 12,000 plus farmers and everything on the platform. But the other thing I think about with that business is, building communities and having successful networks is really hard. If you can get to the point where you have a huge network and you get those benefits of network effects, it's massively valuable. So this isn't to say there isn't great potential there, but I think there's going to be a lot of challenges along the way to overcome.
And I agree with that too. I think she's built an amazing community of these 12,000 people in one location. I do question, without having somebody with her drive, like she's really going to have to find somebody in another local community. And I think, she talked about working with the NGOs and finding people, but she's got to be somebody who's really passionate, who can help scale it to, globally. And so I think I would take her out at this point. Not that I don't think it's an amazing organization. She's built something. I just think, given where I think we see Superpowers for good going, I think that we could probably eliminate her.
I would agree.
Okay.
So where do we go next?
We're absolutely looking at social impact, right? But this is also an investment platform, right? Mm-hmm. People invest for a return. And so I don't think we can leave that out and just look at social impact. I think we have to consider all of that. And when I think about investments, right, I definitely think about streams of revenue. I think about scalability. I think about, how long can this business continue to grow in different directions to keep people's interests? And NatBar stands out to me as a contender when I think about that. I mean, really, the areas of business she can go into, the industry she can tackle, the fact that she's got this device she didn't even talk much about, but we all were paying attention, right, between the lines, that MetaSnooze has to roll out on its own at some point. I want one,
that's
right? That was a no-brainer.
I just glazed over that, but that's like a whole separate business potential.
Whole separate business, right? I see it contending against Oculus. It really, really could. And so from an investor standpoint, I get warm and fuzzy inside when I think about NatBar's potential.
I agree with you, especially on the MetaSnooze. When we asked her about scaling, and she said, okay, like she's got her second location, an LOI, so they'll probably start building it in first quarter, and then it's going to take 6 months. So in terms of scaling the locations, it really sounded, she said, we'll have 5 of them in the next 3 to 5 years. That actually made me take a little step back. I think that she might actually be better off scaling scaling these two simultaneously. It's like scaling MetaSnooze, because that could actually be a revenue producer, while the nap rooms take longer, they're more capital intensive. So I think I'm a little on the fence, just because I think she's got 2 different ways that she could go. And I'm not sure that she's going to, in our conversation with her, I'm not sure that she's decided which one she's going to go and scale first.
On the topic of scaling, so if we take a look at Farm to Flame and Sensate, both of them, I think, multi-million-dollar contracts, Sensate with millions of dollars of revenue, and not saying that, revenue is the pure metric we're focusing on, but that's having an impact. If there's people who are willing to pay for this, it's being out there and being used. So, I think it's really impressive in terms of just the contract pipeline that Farm to Flame has done. And, to kind of defend the different channels there that they could go into, they're working on certain types of waste and everything that they do today, but that doesn't mean they can't expand into other potential types of markets for that technology as well. And then Sensate, kind of got the teaser, but that's product one. What other products, what other uses, what other studies can they do that kind of brings that into potentially tangential or other markets there? So I think those are also both really compelling.
Yeah. With Sensate, I wanted there to be data. right? If we're talking about stress, right? I'm an HR professional by trade. And so I see all the stats from our medical claims and how stress and all the other things that it affects with the body. I wanted to see the data that showed that it's helping people. While I agree that continued use is an indicator of something, it's not necessarily an indicator that my stress has been relieved. It could be an indicator that I keep trying to relieve my stress, right? So I just really wanted something a little more proof positive there. But still a very interesting product. I'm curious how it works. I want one because I want to see how it works, right? But that was my only concern, is there's no data to prove that it works.
Well, when I asked the impact question, like I got this, like I didn't feel like I actually got an answer. And I think that comes back to the data. Like, how do you know that this is actually impacting people? And she said early on in her discussion that other devices, that people don't continue to use them, right? So people buy them, they try them out, but there's not long term. So I did have some questions. Like trust me, like I'm ready to go out and buy one. I'm going to give them to my kids. Like, these are great Christmas gifts. I'm like already like. But in terms of like measuring the impact, I don't think she had an answer, and I think part of that is that she doesn't have the data. So I would take her out back to that impact question. That, like, I don't really see that there was like a real measure, like a real way for us to measure the impact at this point, you know. And I think that's probably something that she'll do in the future. But I would bring us down to NAPBAR and Farm to Flame.
That's fair.
Yeah, Marcia, I agree. Because when you asked your question, I too didn't think you got a clear answer, which is why I followed up to your question. And then I think we got a better answer, but it still wasn't necessarily the data-driven one we were both looking for.
Yep.
Okay. And then there were two.
I think Farm to Flame has, if from an impact standpoint, it's a lot easier. Like, there's just technology out there that you can actually measure your carbon out, footprint, right? Yeah. So I think that. But then I go back to, like, from an investor standpoint, like, it is very capital intensive. Is like NAPBAR has some capital intensive here, so I'm kind of on the fence on that one. I don't know that she has as much measurable impact, but I would love to hear your thoughts on scalability and fundability and from the investor perspective.
Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's tough, and I see, I think I agree where the impact side of things may be a bit more measurable for me, at least today, on the Farm to Flame side, where you can kind of make that logical connection, and it doesn't mean that NAPBAR can't get there and have more data and collect that moving forward. But today, right, and in the near term, I think I'm seeing that more in the Farm to Flame side. Given that Farm to Flame has tens of millions of dollars of contracts, I think they said that they've signed. So having something that's really sticky like that is definitely good from an investor perspective. But on the flip side, NAPBAR 10-year contract with Houston Airport and also doing really well. I feel maybe, to me, it feels a bit earlier for NAPBAR, kind of just where they are along that journey compared to Farm to Flame. So Farm to Flame might be a bit more mature. So maybe it's de-risked a little bit in that sense for me.
I mean, he does have multiple, like, he showed two on his slide, but then when he talked about the other organizations that he's worked with, he definitely, like she's got the Houston Airport, she's got a couple of things in the pipeline, but she only has at this point one 10-year contract. So I think, to your point, Farm to Flame might be, as you pointed out, a little more de-risked at this point.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think what Khaliah and her team have built is amazing. And I think that next year, this time, we're going to see 10 more 10-year contracts, right? And we're going to see some of that additional traction we're looking for today. And she's going to be a force, right? I see this in every single airport, even the regional ones. I mean, I really do see a version. So she better work on that square footage and get it down a little bit. Space is going to need to be scaled back, but I see her everywhere. Again, that energy, the business model that follows that. I mean, it's just, I absolutely think she is going to be a champion. When I think about what unicorns look like early, this is that.
Yeah, she's definitely somebody I want to watch.
I agree. I would say Farm to Flame as well, but for that reason. Again, all of these companies, amazing. All of these founders, oh my, what a motivation to anyone looking here that has aspirations, have dreams of being a founder. You have an idea. Tonight should be what you've been looking for to motivate you to do something. This is amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Devin, for opening up this platform to these founders and to this cause.
And I'll just point out
thank
here,
you.
these were the top 4 that, like, after we went through the screening process, right? So there were many more behind them that we didn't even get a chance to interview and talk to tonight. So I just am so impressed with these entrepreneurs and what they're doing and what they're creating. And again, Dave, thank you again, Devin, as well, for inviting me to participate in this process.
Well, we're thrilled to have all of you. Let me just confirm. I think I'm hearing you say the Judge's Choice Award goes to Farm to Flame Energy. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
All righty, KJ, congratulations. Congratulations. And I can now announce that NapBar is the winner of the Super Crowd Audience Choice Award. So congratulations to you, Khaliah. We're excited and happy for you as well. As we wrap up, let me just take a moment real quickly here to sort of bring everybody in. We want to celebrate all of these fantastic entrepreneurs for all the great work that they're doing.
You're all amazing.
I want to thank Chandon again for his great work in producing the show. He's just phenomenal. Let me invite all of you to consider subscribing to the Super Crowd newsletter at s4g.biz or scan that QR code. We publish 2 episodes of our show every week where we interview typically an issuer raising capital, someone who's going to have impact on the world, who's raising capital. And so we would love to have you there. We also send out a list on Monday of all the new impact offerings. And then on Friday, to our paying subscribers, I send out my pick of the week. And then finally, at the end, Chandon puts together a great recap for us each week. So we've got a lot of different options for you. So I encourage you to subscribe. Now, let me remind you, let's just share these links one last time. You can invest in Farm to Flame Energy at s4g.biz/flame or scan that QR code, s4g.biz/flame. Of course, you can still invest in Krishi Janani at s4g.biz/Krishi, again, or scan that QR code, s4g.biz/Krishi. NapBar, congratulations again, Khaliah, on your Audience Choice Award, the Super Crowd Award. Invest at s4g.biz/nap or scan that QR code. And then Anna are presented from Sensate. And again, all 4 great businesses, s4g.biz/Sensate or scan that QR code to invest. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here. I want to encourage all of you who are watching to think seriously about investing and to take the time to learn more about how you can actually participate in this movement of supporting social entrepreneurs and diverse founders and making money by doing it. So we really want to encourage you to take this seriously. Again, Chandon, thank you for your time and your energy. Usha, we lost you there for a minute, but Usha, we're thrilled to have you here. We, again, congratulate you all for being selected. And I'm glad that the judges pointed out that they went through an agonizing process to screen among a lot of highly qualified applicants, and these 4 are the cream of the crop. So this was they're all winners. We hope you'll consider investing in all of them. And with that, I think we'll call it a night. So thank you, everybody. We really, really appreciate you all being here tonight.
Wonderful. Wonderful job, everyone.